Welcome to TeachMeAll.com. In this video, we're going to show you how to change the front brake pads and rotors on this 2004 Ford Mustang LX.
That's right. Now we're going to review with you the tools we'll be using today.
We need a jack, 2 jack stands, and 2 wheel chocks. We need 2 new front brake rotors, front brake pads, some .3 brake fluid, some brake parts cleaner, some anti-seize lubricant, some high temperature caliper grease, some thread lock, hose clamp pliers, a large C-clamp, a screwdriver, a 21mm socket and ratchet to remove the lug nuts, a 15mm socket and ratchet to remove the caliper bracket bolts, and a 12mm socket and ratchet for the caliper guide pin bolts. A 10mm box and wrench to loosen the bleeder screw with, and a 16mm thin wrench to hold the caliper guide pin nut, a torque wrench, a bungee cord to tie up the caliper, a brake bleeder kit, some safety goggles, shop light, towels, a rubber mallet, and a disc brake spreader. First, we're going to set the emergency brake, put the wheel chocks behind both rear tires, remove the center cap with our screwdriver, loosen up the lug nuts. We'll do this on both front tires. With the lug nuts loosened up, we'll raise the vehicle using our jack. Now we're going to position our jack stands. Then lower the vehicle onto the jack stands. Then we're going to go ahead and remove all the lug nuts. And remove the front tire. Put the lug nuts on top of the tire and slide it under the car. Now we'll do this for the other side also. We slide the tires under the car for convenience and for safety. Then we're going to turn our wheels so we have access to the back of the caliper. And here you'll look at these are the caliper guide pin bolts. These are the caliper bracket bolts. Now we're going to use our hose clamp pliers and clamp the brake line. Remove the dust cover, use our 10mm wrench, put it over the bleeder valve, open up the bleeder valve. We're going to use our large C-clamp to compress the piston inside the caliper so we can easily remove the caliper from the rotor. Here you can see the brake fluid going into the brake bleeder kit. Once you've compressed a little bit, we remove our C-clamp, use our wrench to close up the bleeder valve, remove our brake bleeder kit, reinstall our dust cover. Now it's time to remove the caliper. Use our 16mm thin wrench to hold the guide pin, and we'll use our 12mm socket and ratchet to remove the guide pin bolt. We're starting with the top. We'll loosen it up. Then we'll move to the bottom. Once we remove both guide pin bolts, you can slide the caliper off. Then we're going to use our bungee cord to tie the caliper up out of the way. Now we're going to remove the brake pads. And you can see how worn these brake pads were. Then we're going to remove the caliper bracket using our 15mm socket and ratchet. With the caliper mounting bracket bolts removed, we can remove the caliper mounting bracket and slide our rotor off. Then we're going to slide our new rotor on and hold it in place using one of the lug nuts. And then we use our brake parts cleaner and a clean rag, and we'll wipe the oil and film off of the new rotor on the front and the back. Now we're getting ready to reinstall our caliper mounting bracket. Then we're going to pull the guide pins out. Then we're going to lubricate the guide pins with our anti-seize lubricant. And lubricating the guide pins is essential to make sure your pads wear evenly. Now we'll reinstall the guide pins. Before we install our caliper mounting bracket, we'll put a little bit of thread lock on the caliper mounting bracket bolts. Slide the caliper mounting bracket back into place. Insert our bolts. Using our 15mm socket and ratchet, we'll tighten them down, then we'll torque them to 95 foot-pounds. Unless otherwise specified in your owner's manual. Then we're going to use our anti-seize lubricant and lubricate the slides that the pads fit in. First we'll do the bottom and install it onto the caliper mounting bracket. Then we'll lubricate the top one. And also install it into our caliper mounting bracket. Now you can look, the brake pads both go in a certain position. This is the rear brake pad. Put it into the slides. Now we can slide our outer brake pad into position. With both brake pads in position, we'll lubricate the back of the pads with some high temperature caliper grease. Now we're going to get ready to install our caliper. Remove it from the bungee cord. And we're going to get ready to compress the piston, or pistons in this case. We use our 10mm wrench, our brake bleeder kit, and then we're going to use one of our old brake pads. We'll install the disc brake spreader. We get it snug, we'll go ahead and open the bleeder screw. Then we're going to compress the piston. Then we're going to remove the disc brake spreader and move it to the other side here to push more on the other piston. And we'll keep going back and forth until we get the pistons about flush within the caliper. Then we're going to remove the disc brake spreader, remove our old pad, close the bleeder screw, remove our brake bleeder kit, remove our boxed-in wrench, and reinstall the dust cover. Then we're going to apply a little thread lock to our caliper guide pin bolts. Slide our caliper into position over the brake pads. Install our caliper guide pin bolts. Tighten them down using our thin wrench and our 12mm socket. And we'll torque these to 23 foot-pounds unless otherwise noted. Then we're going to remove our hose clamp pliers, turn the wheel to the other side, move to the other side, reinstall our hose clamp pliers, use our wrench on the bleeder screw, install our brake bleeder kit, use our C-clamp to compress the piston inside the caliper, open up the bleeder screw, tighten down the C-clamp, remove it, tighten up our bleeder screw, remove our brake bleeder kit, remove our wrench, and reinstall the dust cover. Then we use our thin wrench and our 12mm socket and ratchet to remove the caliper guide pin bolt. Remove the caliper guide pin bolts. Then we remove our caliper. We tie it up with our bungee cord. And then we remove our old brake pads. Again, you can see these were worn out. Then we're going to remove our caliper mounting bracket bolts using our 15mm socket and ratchet. Once we have the bolts removed, we'll remove our caliper mounting bracket. Remove our old rotor, install our new rotor, hold it into place with a lug nut. Clean the new rotor with our brake parts cleaner and a clean rag on the front and the back. Then we're going to lubricate our caliper guide pins with our anti-seize lubricant. Put some thread lock on our caliper mounting bracket bolts. Reinstall our caliper mounting bracket. We'll tighten up our bolts, then we'll torque them to 95 foot-pounds unless otherwise specified. Then we're going to grease our slides like we did on the other side. Install it onto our caliper mounting bracket. Then we're going to grease our other slide. And also install it onto the caliper mounting bracket. Now again, we need to position the brake pads the correct way. We slide the inner brake pad in. We'll slide the outer one in, and then we're going to coat both of them with high temperature caliper grease. Then we're going to remove our caliper from the bungee cord. Remove our dust cover. Install our 10mm wrench on the bleeder screw. Install our brake bleeder kit. Use an old brake pad and our disc brake spreader. We'll snug down our disc brake spreader, then we'll open up our bleeder screw. And now we'll tighten up the disc brake spreader and compress our piston. Just like on the other side, we'll alternate back and forth between the two pistons inside our caliper. Then remove our disc brake spreader, our old pad, the bleeder screw, remove the brake bleeder kit, remove our wrench, install a dust cover, and then we're going to put thread lock on our caliper guide pin bolts. Slide our caliper into position over the new brake pads. Install our caliper guide pin bolts. Tighten up the caliper guide pin bolts with our 16mm thin wrench and our 12mm socket and ratchet. Then we're going to torque the caliper guide pin bolts to 23 foot-pounds unless otherwise noted. Then remove our hose clamp pliers. Open our hood, check our brake fluid. We're getting ready to bleed the brakes. Make sure that the brake fluid is at the maximum level inside the master cylinder. Make sure you reinstall the cap. Then we're going to start with the caliper farthest away from the master cylinder, which is the passenger side. We turn the wheel to the driver's side. We remove our dust cover. Install our 10mm wrench over the bleeder screw. Install our brake bleeder kit. Have a partner inside the vehicle. Depress the brake pedal and hold it. Open the bleeder screw. Close it. Have your partner release the brake pedal and have them press it again. Open up the bleeder screw. Close the bleeder screw. Have your partner depress it again. Keep doing this until there's no more bubbles in the brake fluid. And remember, do not ever release the brake pedal when the bleeder screw is open. This can introduce excessive air into your brake system. Your bleeder screw is closed. Remove your brake bleeder kit, your wrench, and reinstall your dust cover. Now go back again and check the brake fluid level in your master cylinder. Add as needed to get to the maximum line. Reinstall your cap. Move to the driver's side and turn your wheels to the passenger side. Remove our dust cover. Reinstall our wrench, our bleeder kit. Have your partner depress the brake pedal and hold it. Open up the bleeder screw. Tighten the bleeder screw and release the brake pedal. Again, keep doing this process until there's no more bubbles in the brake fluid. Make sure your bleeder screw is tight. Remove your brake bleeder kit. Remove your wrench. Reinstall your dust cover. We're straightening up our wheels. And check the brake fluid again. Add as needed. Remove the lug nut. It's holding the rotor on. Reinstall our tires. Install the lug nuts, snug them down with our 21mm socket and ratchet. Okay, we go to the other side, do the exact same thing. Now with both front tires reinstalled and the lug nut snug down, we're going to go ahead and raise our vehicle up and remove the jack stands. Now we'll lower the vehicle back onto the ground. And we're going to torque the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds unless otherwise noted. And torque these in a crisscross pattern. To reinstall our center caps. If you have trouble, you can use a rubber mallet to tap it really gently. And then we're going to remove our wheel chocks behind both rear tires.
Well, we hope this video will help you change the front brake pads and rotors on your 2004 Ford Mustang LX.
Send any comments you may have to comments@teachmeall.com. And as always, thank you for visiting teachmeall.com and have a great day.